Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 22nd Jan, the news items that we have picked up from the Hindu for Sunday. So these are 18 news items. As you know, on Sunday we have special page on science and tech and on health. So the number of news items from this section increases. We'll discuss each of them in detail. The first one, hands off, AIIMS Bhopal medicos operate on dummies. So this is All India Institute of Medical Science, AIIMS, which is there in New Delhi. So more AIIMS institutions have been established by the government. But 13 years after the foundation stone was laid and 5 years after the first batch of students was admitted to AIIMS Bhopal, they are yet to get a license to open a blood bank. So they have an emergency department which cannot be operational because there is no blood bank. Even critical departments like surgery, gynecology are not functional yet. So they have been affecting the learning of the students here who have been enrolled. Because first of all, these are bright students because getting into AIIMS is not easy. So they are among the brightest students in the country, and now they are suffering because of not sufficient facilities being put into effect yet. So this is the concern. So this was under the Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana that new AIIMS like institutions were established. So 11 AIIMS like institutions are there now. Even plans are there to take them to 19, means 8 more would be announced by government now. So this is the case. The announcements are being made, but the provisions made available to them are quite lacking. So these are the 6 new AIIMS. Started off first, Bhopal comes here. It was Patna, Raipur, Bhubaneswar, Jodhpur, Rishikesh, where AIIMS institutes were established. 2 more, and now many more have been added, making the total to 19. The next news item, this is regarding the AIIMS shown here now. So you can see the AIIMS which have been established are in red, and those which are proposed are in pink. Oh, sorry, in red, the name is written in red, otherwise they are in black here. So this you can see, Bhopal here. Delhi already has one, Rishikesh, Jodhpur, they have been established, and these are the proposed ones. Kapurthala, Gorakhpur. Then the next news item is CM to flag off Jallikattu in Madurai after ordinance. So an ordinance has been promulgated by the governor after the approval from the central government to the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act of 1960. So after this, Jallikattu initiatives have been taken, but then there are still protests continuing. So people are protesting because they don't want an ordinance, they want a legislation, because ordinance is temporary. So that is what is being thought. But then even legislation cannot be temporary. Supreme Court can strike it down at any point of time, calling it unconstitutional or illegal. The next news item is after Jallikattu, it is Kambala's turn. So Kambala is a buffalo racing which takes place in coastal Karnataka region. So this was also banned in concurrence with the ban on Jallikattu. So when an ordinance has been promulgated now to allow Jallikattu, so there are fresh demands to lift the ban on Kambala as well. So this is the Karnataka government who had informed the High Court in November 2016 that this was again a petition filed by PETA. PETA is the organization for ethical treatment of animals. So this is the body which is protesting against Jallikattu being put into effect again. So this petition which had been filed, the state government of Karnataka had said that it is withdrawing the permission given to hold Kambala based on the Supreme Court's order on Jallikattu. So now there are fresh demands here. So this you should know. This is the annual buffalo race, he buffalo, who is raised during these festival times in coastal Karnataka. The next news item is tax deduction limits for provident fund withdrawals to go up. So if you make withdrawals from your provident fund account which has not completed the time frame as designated, then there will be tax deductions. So these tax deductions take place if you withdraw more than rupees 50,000. So this is the threshold limit. So the Labour Ministry is asking that during the present budget, this threshold limit should be increased from 50,000 to 2 lakh. This is one provision demanded. Then it also says that you should be able to withdraw provident fund savings of up to 2 lakh without tax deduction, even if it has not completed 5 years of continuous service. So you are allowed to withdraw only after completing 5 years of continuous service. And before that, if withdrawal takes place, then taxation is imposed. Also, another provision demanded is the income tax rate which is put on these provident funds withdrawals. So you can see this, the rates which are being imposed are at 34.608%. So income tax is this much. So this is quite high. So even here demands are being made to reduce this, because this 34.608 tax is demanded from those provident fund holders who do not disclose their PAN card details. So if you do not have a PAN card, then this is the tax. Otherwise, for other workers, the taxation is at 10%. So this discrimination should also be removed. That is also the Labour Ministry's request to the Finance Ministry as proposal for the present budget. So this is the case, maximum marginal rate. So this maximum marginal rate is the income tax rate on these PAN card on these provident fund withdrawals. So this is there. So Finance Act of 2015 had introduced the deduction of income tax on payments of accumulated provident fund balance due to an employee with less than 5 years of service. So when withdrawals are made, then income tax deductions would also be made. This happened for the first time in 2015 and continues. So there are some changes required, demanded by the Labour Ministry for this. Then retrospective service tax exemption. So service tax exemption has been provided for employee provident fund scheme. So Labour Ministry is demanding that this should be from retrospective basis, because presently it's effective from 1st April 2016. So this is another demand which is being put forth. So this is regarding the Employees Provident Fund Organization too. So this is the body which is assisting the Central Board of Trustees in managing the Provident Fund. It is a statutory body established under this Employees Provident Fund Act of 1952. Administrative authority is Ministry of Labour only, which is making demands to the Finance Ministry. Then compulsory contribution is there to Provident Fund. So this compulsory contributory Provident Fund scheme, pension scheme, insurance scheme for the workforce have been put forth, and it is the nodal agency for implementing all the bilateral social security agreements with other countries on a reciprocal basis. So all 17 social security agreements which are there presently in operational, they have been under the Provident Fund Organization's purview only. The next news item is swine flu on rise in Hyderabad. So swine flu cases have been detected in Hyderabad and they are steadily increasing. So it's a concern again now. So this is swine flu. So it is a respiratory disease. You can see it is generally seen in people connected with pigs, but then contact with pigs, or pigs who come in contact with birds and through other animals too, or it can be passed on. So these are the symptoms: coughing, sneezing. The virus is influenza A type virus. Currently there are no vaccines for swine flu as such. The next news item is, will the superbug scare hit home? So this is regarding the superbug. Superbug is a bug which is resistant to antibodies. So antimicrobial resistance has been developed. So this is the bacteria, infection causing bacteria, Klebsiella pneumoniae. So Klebsiella pneumoniae is a bacteria which is seen to be resistant to all antibiotics available. So this was a case of a woman who was hospitalized in US and she died. But then 2 years ago, her history was that she had gone for treatment to India, and it is alleged that it is from India that she picked up this bacteria which is resistant to all antibiotics. So it's the US authority also says that it is resistant to all 26 antibiotics, including the last resort antibiotic colistin. So this is the case presently, because carbapenem are the medications which are used to treat antibacteria as used as antibacteria or against bacteria. But presently it is seen that carbapenem resistant bacteria have also developed. This is one example is of course Klebsiella pneumoniae. So how is this Klebsiella pneumoniae bacteria resistant to antibacterial drugs? This is because of a gene which is present, and this gene is also becoming active. So this killer superbug's resistance is to a gene. So that this gene produces an enzyme. So this enzyme is NDM1. So this NDM1 is seen to causing antimicrobial resistance. So this NDM1, New Delhi metallo-beta-lactamase, was found for the first time in Delhi hospital. So that is why it has been named so. And this is the one it says this enzyme is the one produced by this gene. And this gene, this is resulting in it becoming antimicrobial resistance. So this is being highlighted. Also, it is said that this NDM1 enzyme, it can transfer horizontally across bacteria. So it can just be transferred like contagious. So then it becomes difficult to reduce its occurrence and also the antimicrobial resistance worldwide because it spreads then. So this is regarding multi-drug resistance in India. It was found, even colistin resistance have been found. So this is carbapenem resistance and also carbapenem resistance and also colistin resistance have been found in India in recent years. So we need to have clear action plan. So large public hospitals don't have any clear comprehensive policies regarding antibiotics use and infection control. So there is a need for a clear policy. Irrational antibiotic use should be avoided both for humans and animals. So because this is one of the major reasons for antimicrobial resistance developing in India. So even a World Health Organization report said that in 2015 when Indians were asked about antibiotics, they 75% believe that they can treat flu, where in viral infections, bacterial antibacterials are not functional. Also in 50% cases, Indians reported that they knew that antibiotics should only be stopped when the prescribed course ends. So India does have a national action plan on antimicrobial resistance. The policy is clearly in place, but plan to implement it is missing. So policy to combat antimicrobial resistance has been there for 5 years, but then there is provisions which it has is that there should be a separate schedule for antibiotics to prevent sale without prescriptions. So this is there. And then also hospital surveillance system for monitoring resistance, enforcement of regulation in veterinary use of antibiotics in animals, rational prescription of antimicrobials through evidence-based medicine. So all these provisions have been proposed in the policy, but putting it into effect has been difficult. So that is being highlighted. This is NDM1, the enzyme that lives inside the bacteria which is produced due to a particular gene, and that bacteria will be resistant to antibiotics. So then it becomes difficult to treat it. So these are the two, E. coli bacteria and the Klebsiella pneumonia. So this is E. coli is in the gut system and Klebsiella is in the lungs. So they can lead to urinary tract infections and blood poisoning too. So these then cannot not being treated, may be harmful for the body as well. The next news item is highly pungent capsicum varieties have higher antioxidant properties. Pungent means kadwa, bitter taste. So this bitter capsicum variety, which is Bhut Jolokia. So this is called capsicum chinense. So this is native to northeast India. So this Bhut Jolokia has been said to having the highest bitterness level in the world in capsicum, and this bitterness is linked to high antioxidant activities. So higher pungency means higher antioxidant property, and these antioxidants are important in humans as well as animals to neutralize the free radicals. So free radicals will result in oxidation, wear and tear as such of tissues, etc., wherever they are present. But then with antioxidants, this act as scavengers. They clean the body of free radicals and they are much more beneficial then. The next news item is MRI twice as likely as biopsy to spot prostate cancer. So prostate cancer, in this case, MRI scan is much better than biopsy because biopsy is invasive. So in biopsy, a sample of tissue may also be removed for lab testing, etc. So here in such cases, the dangerous tumor may be skipped. So it's a sample taken. So in these cases, an MRI scan is much better than invasive biopsy. So that has been highlighted. So biopsy is removal of tissue for examination, right? So then it may be misleading too, but MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, is an imaging technique used in medical terms. So this images of soft tissue of the human body are produced. So these are high quality images. So this is nuclear magnetic resonance, which is used in these MRI devices. So this you can see that MRIs, they give doctors the chance to detect cancers earlier than ever before. They can help us view into the body without surgery. They are non-invasive in nature and they give clear images. So this was discovered. The magnetic resonance imaging was discovered in 1946. So it uses non-ionizing radiations from the radio frequency band of the electromagnetic spectrum, and with the help of that, using the magnetic properties of atoms and molecules, various images are generated. The next news item is new artificial intelligence system can see like humans. So this is Sketch. This is an artificial intelligence platform which has been built. It has the ability to solve visual problems and understand sketches in order to give immediate and interactive feedback. So words, letters, etc. can be understood, but also visuals can be understood by this artificial intelligence platform. So then they can, vision focuses on recognition or labeling. So generally that is what artificial intelligence research today is concerned with. That with respect to what you see, you recognize what it is or you label what it is. But what is in that scenery is not understood. So what this present system is talking of, the Sketch, is understanding what is within the scenery and then drawing inferences based on it. Like examples are given, like clock is above the door, or pressure difference is causing water to flow. So such observations being able to be made from visual images is what this artificial intelligence AI platform will be able to do. So this is the system developed. The next news item is heat moves plate tectonics. So plate tectonics is the theory which says that the earth is made up of the topmost layer, the lithosphere, the solid part, and this lithosphere is divided into number of plates, and these plates keep moving, because of which changes are seen on the surface of the earth. So plates can move away from each other, they diverge, a water body would come up. Plates may come closer to each other, they can form blocks and valleys also as such, and then they can also merge into one another such that mountains may be generated. So this is plate tectonics theory. So how do these plates move is a question. They move on the liquid asthenosphere. So lithosphere, below it is asthenosphere. But then where does it, so it can float over the asthenosphere, but where does it get the energy to move? So earlier it was understood that this is because of the negative buoyancy, because the earth is, which is caused by the cooling of the earth. But now this new theory says, new research is saying that this earth's tectonic plates movement is because of the heat from the core. So whatever be the reason, these are the two reasons. One old reason, negative buoyancy, and third one is heat, which are given as two reasons for the movement of the plates. The next news item is Assam Rifles select 75 from Mizoram Bru refugee camp. So this Bru or Riang are displaced people who are presently living in Tripura. They are originally from Mizoram. So Tripura and Mizoram are neighbors, and these are tribal evacuees from Mizoram who have been settled in North Tripura. So presently the news is that Assam Rifles, which is the world's oldest paramilitary force, has engaged in counter-insurgency and security operations in northeastern India for quite many years. Presently, Assam Rifles has selected 75 from this Bru displaced people camp for the Assam Rifles. So this is the news. So Bru residents entered Tripura in 1997 when there was ethnic crisis in Mizoram, and they still can't be rehabilitated. Central government is still facing troubles. So that is regarding Bru. And Assam Rifles, you should know, it's the oldest paramilitary force in India. It is under the control of Indian Ministry of Home Affairs, and since 2002 it has been guiding the Indo-Myanmar barrier. So this border is being guided by the Assam Rifles since 2002. The next news item is India asked to stop work on Jammu and Kashmir hydro project. So these are two Pakistan's parliamentary committees who have passed a joint resolution asking India to immediately suspend work on two hydropower projects in Jammu and Kashmir. So this has been put forth. So these two projects are Kishanganga and Ratle hydro projects. So they are also saying that they will call upon, means the resolution itself is calling upon the World Bank to constitute a court of arbitration to adjudicate on this issue between India and Pakistan. So these two projects, you can see Kishanganga project is, as the Indian government claims, that it is the run of the river hydroelectric scheme. So this is on Kishanganga river. So this is part of Jhelum river. So Kishanganga river, Jhelum, you should know under Indus Water Treaty is allocated to Pakistan. But then Jhelum flows through India as well, and India is allowed to use it for run of the river projects. Means water flow would not be halted. So for that it is allowed. So this is the project which began in 2007, and the dam has been temporarily halted after the Hague's Permanent Court of Arbitration in October 2011 because of Pakistan's protest had the construction of the dam was temporarily halted. But then the Hague in 2013 had ruled that India can divert a minimum amount of water for power generation. So as it is run of the river, it has been allowed. So India has already won this case, but still Pakistan is protesting. So this Kishanganga river, you should know, in Pakistan it is known as Neelam river. The location you can see here, Kishanganga project near the Vular lake. So this is the POK. So it's very close to the POK. So that is also concern for Pakistan. Then the next is Ratle river project. So this you can see here. So the Ratle is also again run of the river hydroelectric project. It's under construction on Chenab river now. So that was on Jhelum. This one is on Chenab river. So this you can see. This is the Kishanganga project's proposal only. So Ratle is on Chenab in Doda district in Jammu and Kashmir. It is also a run of the river, so there should be no problem with it, but Pakistan opposes. The next river is already which has been put into effect. So this is Doda district, you can see here, Chenab river, on which Ratle project is initiated. The Baglihar hydroelectric project is another one which you should know of, which India has started constructing in 1999 itself, and in 2008 it was dedicated to the nation. 900 megawatts Baglihar hydroelectric project. This is on Jhelum, on Chenab river. So Jhelum is Kishanganga project, Chenab is Ratle project 2, and Baglihar project 2. So this is again in Doda district on Chenab river, and this has been protested against by Pakistan too, but this has been completed. The first phase was completed in 2004 itself. The next news item is Japan threatens to drag India to World Trade Organization on steel as Trump era heralds trade tensions. So Japan is threatening India that the restrictions which it has put on import of steel in its country are violating WTO norms, and Japan would take it to the World Trade Organization for such actions being taken by it. So this, what is being protested against is the import duty which has been imposed. So this is the duties of up to 20% on hot rolled flat steel products. This has been done in September 2015. Also, floor price has been decided for steel product imports in the country in February 2016. So this is actually to deter countries such as China, Japan, South Korea, who are providing cheap steel in the country. So undercutting local mills. So to help in local steel entities to develop also, the Indian government has taken such initiatives, but Japan is protesting against it. Of course, it has affected Japanese steel producers also. So this is the world's second biggest steel producer. The biggest steel, Japan does not take such cases to World Trade Organization, WTO. It generally tries to smoothen it out through bilateral negotiations. But presently, Japan is being assertive and claiming that such violations of trade norms should not be entertained, because there is also fear of US President Donald Trump, who has been sworn in now. He has also talked of protectionist measures being put into effect. So that would be affecting these international producers like of steel, especially like China, Japan, and even South Korea. So this is the case. And it is not just India which is taking such actions against these steel importers, steel exporters, but it is also Vietnam, Malaysia, South Africa, who are also thinking of blocking incoming shipments of steel from these steel producers. The World Trade Organization, you know about it, is the organization which puts forth global rules for trade between countries. It implements all the WTO agreements. Its trade negotiations do take place. Even trade disputes are resolved here. So that is its major function. It provides technical assistance and training to developing countries also, and cooperates with international organizations. Difference between GATT and WTO. GATT is General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. So this is for trade in goods specifically. This is covering goods and services. This was just an agreement, ad hoc and provisional basis. This is permanent. It is not have any organization created, but here organization has been created for this purpose. It allowed, even GATT allowed contradictions in local laws and GATT agreements. So local laws may be different, but here with WTO, local laws cannot contradict the WTO provisions. So then it can be a dispute which has to be resolved. So this is important. The next news item is SEBI reviews rules for removal of firms' independent directors. So Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, it has an internal note passed which says that the norms for removal of independent directors in listed companies have to be reviewed. So by virtue of majority holding in a large company, a listed company, promoters can easily remove an independent director. So whether this should be allowed or there should be some major stringent measures put forth is a question which SEBI is looking into, and an internal note has been circulated with this regard. So then there should be bars put on promoters from voting on resolutions seeking removal of independent directors. So appointment of independent directors is stringent, then why removal is so simple is a question which has been put forth. This is Mr. Nusli Wadia, who has been removed from as an independent director from Tata Group. So Tata Motors, Tata Steel, Tata Chemicals, from here he has been removed as an independent director. So that is the point on which SEBI has to make this issue noticeable to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs so that reforms, if any required, can be undertaken. So this is regarding SEBI. It was established in 1988. It later became a statutory body too under the 1992 SEBI Act, and it's headquartered in Mumbai. The next news item is how ISRO plans to launch 103 satellites on a single rocket. So this is PSLV C-37. A single rocket will launch 103 satellites. So 3 satellites are from India, 100 satellites are from other countries. So this launch will take place in February 2017. And this is a record, a world record, because the highest number of satellites launched in a single mission so far has been only 37 by Russia in 2014. So that is there. ISRO in 2016 had launched 20 satellites in one go. So that is its record so far, which will break in Feb 2017. The next news item is a sunspot with center twice the size of Earth. So a new view of the sunspot has come forth, which is showing how big the sunspot is. So this is possible because of the using of ALMA antennas, Atacama large millimeter, sub-millimeter array antennas. So they help in radio interferometry. So with the help of this, millimeter wavelength light emitted by the sun's chromosphere can be detected, and ALMA antennas can be used here to give the clear imagery of the sun. So this radio interferometry is used to give clear pictures of the sun, and such revelations have been made regarding the sunspots, where they are and their size. The next news item is new technique for faster diagnosis of HIV. So HIV diagnosis and also other diseases like rotavirus infections, Lyme disease, syphilis. For these medical testings, new method has been developed. So what is it doing is it is using nanoparticles which are coated with antibody to BSA. So bovine serum albumin. This is commonly used for diagnostic tests. So this antibody to BSA is, a nanoparticle is coated with this antibody. So this antibody to BSA then will preferentially bind to the BSA. So this helps in understanding whether which disease is present, to what extent it is present, and so on. So this is how the new method can be used for medical testing, which is much faster. The next news item is the last one. Massive Antarctic ice shelf ready to break. So this is a huge chunk of ice from West Antarctica, which is attached to the parent ice shelf, now said to be just by a thread. So it would break away soon, and then it would result in the global water mark rising by about 10 centimeter. So this is again a threat coming from climate change. Larsen A and Larsen B. So this is called Larsen C ice shelf, which will break. Larsen A, Larsen B have already broken in 1995 and then 7 years later in 2002. So this is the image shown here, Larsen ice shelf. So this is Larsen A, Larsen B, and so on when they broke away. This is regarding the three, Larsen A, B, and C. So here also stuck by a thread now. So these are the news items. Thank you.